Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the California State Senate's Committee on Energy, Utilities, and Communications. We've been informed that we have one Republican on the way, so I feel comfortable beginning as a subcommittee of the committee to begin hearing testimony on the bills in respect for all of your time. You all were here on time, so we want to make sure that we respect your time and we can begin hearing from you. We're going to begin with Senator Allen, SB 1043, the renewable gas, biogas, and biomethane bill that you've been working on here for a while.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the committee. Let me just start by accepting the amendment suggested in the committee analysis and to thank the staff for helping us to get this bill right. So as we've discussed before, California's gas sector causes 1/4 of the state's greenhouse gas emissions and is a major contributor to global warming. And while California has adopted several policies to promote renewable gas development and to increase the use of renewable fuels, to date, these policies have achieved mixed results. It's clear we need to do more to bolster this industry if we hope to meet our climate and air quality goals. Now, last year, you may recall that I introduced SB 687, which sought to establish a renewable gas standard as a means of reducing the greenhouse gas emissions from the gas sector and also boost the renewable gas industry. Now, the feedback we received on that bill from many stakeholders was that it was premature to determine that a gas standard was the right approach to accomplishing that goal. And taking that to heart and working with a diverse array of folks, this year we've introduced SB 1043, which instead requires the Air Resources Board to consider and adopt policies to increase the production and use of in-state renewable gas. The bill requires that any policy adopted by the Air Board be consistent with existing state laws and policies to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and short-lived climate pollutants, or as Senator Lar is now calling them, super pollutants, promote renewable energy, divert organics from the waste stream, and also improve air and water quality. We've been working extensively with stakeholders of all stripes to ensure that the bill is targeted, balanced, and complements existing law. I want to briefly touch upon some of the remaining opposition to the bill. I very carefully reviewed the letter from Mr. Bocadoro, and it raises a number of points, some of which were addressed in a recent set of authors' amendments and, that we took last week, and then the others were addressed by the committee's amendments that we were accepting today. So I think we've alleviated the key concerns. First, the letter points to the authority the bill gives the Air Board to establish policies that could potentially include a renewable gas standard. And the paragraph quoted in the opposition letter that offered the board policy options to examine will be removed entirely per the committee suggestion. So we're just dropping that paragraph altogether. We're also going to amend the bill. We're also amending the bill to require the Air Board to consider cost effectiveness when examining various policies similar to its directive under AB 32 and SB 350, and that was another concern that was raised. The letter also expresses concern with synthetic gas or power to gas, and I just want to make clear that nothing in the bill requires the Air Board to expand the use of this technology. In fact, we're dropping the reference to synthetic gas altogether. The bill simply makes this form of renewable gas eligible under whatever policies the Air Board adopts. While this technology definitely shows promise, and it is in its infancy still in California, and therefore we're actually considering directing the CEC to evaluate this technology separately from the policies that the Air Board adopts to promote biogas. On the last point raised in the letter related to out-of-state gas, recent amendments corrected this oversight. It's absolutely my intent to focus on in-state development of renewable gas. I'm hopeful we can continue to work together to address any outstanding concerns that may exist. I believe we've come a long way from where we were last year and have a much better bill thanks to the very constructive feedback that we received from folks from all across the board. And with me today, I have Julia Levin with the Bioenergy Association of California and Ryan Kenny with Clean Energy to speak to the bill and help to answer any questions you may have.
Good morning, Senators, Chairman, members of the committee. Julia Levin with the Bioenergy Association of California. We are sponsoring this important legislation because we represent more than 50 public agencies, local governments, and private companies that are converting organic waste to energy. They are producing the lowest carbon fuels on the road, the lowest carbon transportation of any kind. They're also helping to meet the state's landfill diversion goals so that we stop putting so much organic waste into our landfills. And these projects are now helping to reduce catastrophic wildfire. which is the source of 10% of all of the state's climate emissions at this point and quickly growing. Senator Allen and his staff have been extremely receptive to concerns that we do each of these in a way that's both environmentally and economically sustainable. And the agencies and local governments and companies that we represent have those same goals in mind. As the Senator mentioned, we have a lot of state policies and we are putting a lot of money into bioenergy development, but money alone isn't enough to transform the market. The gas sector in California is still 99% fossil fuel. We've made huge strides in the electricity sector. We're beginning to make strides in the transportation sector, but the gas sector is virtually entirely fossil fuel based. And 91% of it is coming from out of state at this point. So we're just as vulnerable to out of state gas supplies as we were in the California energy crisis in 2001 and 2002. Instead of importing fossil fuels from out of state, we could be producing renewable, very low carbon, clean biogas in state, creating 2 to 6 times as many jobs as we would with fossil fuels, and helping to reduce air pollution from the most polluting heavy-duty vehicles on the road, as well as pollution from dairies and from wildfire. So for all of these reasons, we think it's very important that the state adopt a statewide policy to increase biogas production and begin to diversify and decarbonize our gas supply. So we urge you to support this legislation.
Hi, good morning, Chair Wayso, members of the committee. My name is Ryan Kenny. I work for Clean Energy Renewables. We are the largest provider of renewable natural gas transportation fuel in the country. We have 589 fueling stations throughout the country, 165 alone here just in California. So last year we produced 50 million gallons of the fuel, and next year we expect to produce more. And over half the natural gas transportation fuel is from renewable sources, and demand is increasing, but there's a problem. And the problem is that we have 15 production facilities, but they're all outside of California. According to the EPA, landfills account for the third largest human-made source of methane. Our renewable sources are from landfills, and these gases are often either vented or flared to reduce emissions going into the atmosphere. And unfortunately, as has been mentioned, there are barriers that are cost prohibitive for us to do in-state production here in California, which include interconnection, gas quality, and cleanup standards. So other states are actually benefiting from California's barriers. We do believe that we need statewide policy supporting biomethane production immediately. California is missing out on jobs, in-state tax revenue, and in-state source of renewable transportation fuel. Many stakeholders agree that renewable natural gas, biomethane, is the best use, transportation is the best use for that fuel. We do believe that SB 1043 will help California achieve environmental, petroleum reduction, waste diversion, and public health goals. Thank you.
Were you going to say something? Maybe if you could make room for the other speaker, just to state your name and your position on the bill, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mark Fenstermaker on behalf of Environmental Defense Fund in support.
Eddie Moran on behalf of Sierra Club California. We don't have a position, but we appreciate the author's effort to work with us. Thank you.
Mike Dillon on behalf of the California Association of Sanitation Agencies and County Sanitation Districts of Los Angeles. We're supporting concept, but we're getting very close to full support. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, members, Josh Pane on behalf of the California Refuse Recycling Council in strong support. Thank you.
Anyone else in support? Anybody in opposition?
Michael Bocadoro with the Ag Energy Consumers Association. You've already heard some of the concerns that were raised. We think some of those issues have been addressed by the amendments that have been taken, but we're going to still be in a position until we see the bill in print that we do have concerns. The biggest concern is the approach that we take. I think everybody can support additional biomethane use in the state. It's about how we get there, whether we get there through additional mandates or through incentives and removing the obstacles. Later today, you're going to hear Mr. Canella's bill as well. It's attempting to deal with some of these same issues, and at some point, we probably need to merge the concepts. But it's really about how we get there that has been our concern. We've been very concerned about mandates because a lot of this gas can be very, very expensive for end-use customers. So we'll look forward to working with the author appreciate the amendments. We very much appreciate the thorough analysis done by your staff to get us to this point. So thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to take advantage of the fact we have enough members to establish a quorum. Clerk, please call the roll.
Hueso,
Here.
Hueso here, Morel. Here. Morel here, Canella. Here. Canella here, Gaines, Hertzberg. Here. Hertzberg here, Hill. Here. Hill here, Lara, Leyva. Here. Leyva here, McGuire, Pavley. Here. Pavley here, Wolk.
We have a quorum. We're going to continue with opposition.
Kirsten Kolpitke with the California Forestry Association. We have an oppose unless amended position on this bill. There's a provision in this bill that would place additional restrictions on biogas if it's coming from the forestry sector that's not placed on any other part of whether it's ag or landfill diversion. In addition to that, for our existing biomass facilities, when they take in waste, they have to identify whether that is coming from forest waste, landfill, or agricultural waste, in addition to some other components. However, they can tell by looking at that that's forestry waste, that's ag waste, or that's landfill diversion. This bill would place additional requirements stating that if it's forestry waste, it has to come from the governor's emergency proclamation, that it's coming from defensible space, or that at the end of it, that the average diameter of the stand increases. Once that waste reaches a certain facility, they're not going to be able to tell that the tree branch came from defensible space, or that tree branch came from the governor's proclamation, or that the average diameter of the stand increased. So you're adding a layer of bureaucracy or an additional certification that we're not sure how that would be done. We think it's an impediment to that. We've asked that the bill be amended. Under existing law, the cap and trade regulations specify that wood waste has to come from an approved timber harvest plan under the Zeeberg-Nidgidley Forest Practices Act. That's what our operators have to abide by every day that they operate, and that's the amendments that we're asking for. Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and members. If you would just indulge me, Valerie Terrell-Vlahos with PG&E, and we haven't taken a position, but have began a good conversation with the author. Thank you first so much for your staff's work and the amendments taken so far. We'd like to continue the conversation, of course, working with the author on important definitions. Some spoke about already, and others to ensure that we're having all technologies on the table and all technologies on a common footing. And then just with the end result, of course, being our climate goals and keeping our service to our customers reliable, safe, and affordable. Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Chair. Dave Modest with the California Municipal Utilities Association. We did have an opposed position on the bill, but we thank the author for and the committee for the amendments taken today. I think these amendments will do a lot to resolve our concerns, and we'll take the bill back to our members. Thank you.
Dennis Albiani on behalf of the California Grain and Feed Association and the Association of California Egg Farmers. We have the same concerns that Michael Bocadoro mentioned, and we'll take a look at the amendments. Appreciate the work that's been done, and we'll see how it progresses as it goes forward. We do want to keep in track. We support biogas and have for many years in biodigestion. What we do have concerns, we're also consumers, and price matters. And so that's something we need to keep in effect and keep in our conscious. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anybody else out there wish to be heard on this bill? Do we have any comments?
Quick question on the amendments, if I could, Mr. Chair.
Sure.
Thank you. Senator Allen, you said you mentioned you took all of the amendments that were on here, and that did include the one related to section B1 of the Health and Safety Code. That one. That's if I can find my spot here.
Oh yes, yeah. We're actually striking that entire paragraph.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. And that was one of the things that was raised in Mr. Bocadoro's letter.
So, Mr. Allen, I think this bill's gone a long way from its inception. I just haven't seen the amendments yet, so I'm going to hold off on voting on it today, and it sounds like you're on the right track. I'm hopefully look forward to supporting it on the floor. So.
Do you want to speak?
Thank you, Senator.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I appreciate the author, and I'm going to parrot what my friend down here said, Senator Canella. Too, I'm going to hold off until I see some more, but appreciate the work you have done on it.
Understood.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Senators.
Senator Pavley.
Yes, I'd be glad to move the bill. but also wanted to say that conceptually, the concept of a RPS similar kind of standard for fuels would really be a great market signal for the production of alternative fuels. And I understand some of the incentives that are needed, and also sort of fuel neutral as long as it meets the lower carbon fuel standards and meets us towards our targets. Even though SB 350 didn't have the petroleum reduction component, it's still in there as an executive order, which means that we're going to have to be thoughtful in creating diversity in the fuel sector, especially when it's in-state jobs and fuels, will help create competition and perhaps lower gas prices as well. And so it's really important work. So I'm very supportive of what you're trying to do, but maybe you could articulate for me a little bit of the obstacles that people are identifying as part of the problems of being able to accelerate investment in alternative fuels.
Well, what's extraordinary here is that we've got all of the tools in place, in the sense that we've got a tremendous amount of biomass, whether it be the food that we throw out, or whether it be other types of biomass that's accumulated through our commercial activities. And this is an extraordinary source of methane, which of course is 30 times more impactful than CO2 with regards to greenhouse gas impact. And at the same time, we can actually collect that methane and turn it into clean burning renewable natural gas. So the science is actually extraordinary. It's almost like something out of a science fiction film in terms of its neatness. The challenge now is, how do we create an infrastructure where we can actually capture and then use all of this gas? And just like solar 30 years ago, the technology is there, but it's just expensive. And I think our hope is that we could create a situation where we can help to scale this by creating some incentives and sending some signals to the market that this is something that's worth investing in. We know it can scale. I really invite you to go see digesters all over the state, and some of them are in your own districts. There's a couple that are really near here in Sacramento. We can help to arrange you to go see this extraordinary science that is California homegrown science that's converting methane into usable, converting damaging greenhouse gas polluting items into usable natural gas. And what we need to do is help to push it along and give it the capital it needs and give it the incentives it needs to be in a place where we can start to transform our use of renewable gas. And that's what this is about. It's about taking advantage of this extraordinary opportunity that exists and allowing our digesters to scale it and put in place a system where we can attract investment.
The low carbon fuel standard came out of a study that the CEC did, studying a full life cycle analysis of all the fuels. Is this comparison factor something that could be incentivized for those that essentially reduce carbon the most?
Well, that's actually, we talk about, ultimately, the plan is to give those sorts of decisions to the Air
But you could quantify
Board.
carbon reductions across the board in different kinds of applications.
And of course, how the Air Board will do that is going to be a big open question. And to be honest, some of the push-pull that you've even seen today has something to do with
well, if it's in-state production, it should be less carbon intensive than something grown in Iowa or whatever.
That's absolutely right, and we're very committed to making this in-state. But ultimately, that's the kind of, the bill envisions the Air Board figuring that out and laying out a set of standards.
Thank you.
Senator Leyva.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good morning, Senator Allen.
Morning.
I'm going to support the bill today. I just wanted to reiterate something that was said earlier, that maybe as the bill is working its way through, we could find a way to do incentives versus mandates. I think we get a better result for everybody in that regard. So just just want to reiterate that point.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you, Senator.
Do we have a motion?
Oh, I think
Okay. We'll accept a motion from Senator Pavley with the amendments. And then we're moving it to what committee?
EQ.
Sure.
It's moving forward to environmental quality. Okay, very good. Clerk, please call the roll.
Dupass is amended to environmental quality. Wesso?
Aye.
Wesso, aye. Morel? Canella? Gaines? Hertzberg? Hertzberg, aye. Hill? Hill, aye. Lara? Leyva? Leyva, aye. McGuire? Pavley? Pavley, aye. Wolf? Need one more vote.
Okay, we're going to hold the roll open.
Thank you,
for the
Senator.
absent
Thank you so
members.
much. Thank you.
We'll ask Senator Morlock to come forward. With SB 1463, the Electrical Lines Mitigation of Wildfire Risk bill that you've been working on. Welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Your beard's looking good. Colleagues, it was an October afternoon in 1993 when I was watching my oldest son practice AYSO soccer, and 15 miles to the south, we could see all the smoke coming from Laguna Beach. They had a massive wildfire there that destroyed an incredible amount of homes, over 400 homes valued at more than $500 million. We had 16,000 acres burned, and it was quite a dramatic event. We certainly learned a lot about shake roofs in Orange County from that traumatic experience. But the California Department of Forestry and Fire Protection, CAL FIRE, would consider it one of the most destructive fires in California since it began keeping records in 1923. So about the same time, I was the partner of a firm, and our building was, lived the closest to the building. I was 2.5 miles away, and in the middle of the night, I got a call from my alarm service and said, your fire alarm's gone off. What's your ETA? And what is I learned the acronym, estimated time of arrival. I said, I'll be there in 10 minutes. I beat the fire department there. But there was no fire. We couldn't figure it out. We walked around, checked the whole building out in the middle of the night. The next day, about midday, the fire alarm went off again with the office full of staff, and we still couldn't find the fire. But one of my employees went into the back of the building, and there, dripping on the roof, our shake roof, was molten metal from the electronic connection to the building, and our shake roof was about ready to explode, and we were able to douse it real quickly. So I have a personal experience with these electrical lines that are rather traumatizing. But as the chair of the Board of Supervisors in 2008, we had a day where we had zero humidity. We had our sheriff already flying the helicopter around the county just to watch in case there was any fire that started in. Sure enough, one started in Corona. We called it the Freeway Complex Fire. The Santa Ana winds drove it right through Brea and other areas and just wiped out a lot of homes. Very difficult to drive the next day and visit all these homes that had been burned out and meet the owners. It was a tough deal. But also in that area, we have what's known as the Tecate cypress. It's one of only two or three groves in the world. And it's developed to take a fire every 30 to 40 years, maybe 60 years, but not every 10. And so we're losing some incredible ecological resources. The fire is a devastating phenomenon for a lot of communities. Last year, just being up here, we had the Rough Fire, 151,623 acres near Fresno. I could see it when I flew back and forth to come to Sacramento. The Valley Fire up in Lake County, 76,000 acres. We could see it from here. So 2003, San Diego had the Cedar Fire. That was massive, 280,278 acres, 2,820 buildings, and 15 lives. So colleagues, I'm here with a concern. Laguna Beach is an enclave of sorts in Orange County. It only has 3 major entry and exit points. And when something like this occurs, we're talking about people's lives. We're talking about property, but more importantly, the ability to leave a location. So consequently, we need the California Public Utilities Commission, the CPUC, in consultation with the Department of Forestry and Fire Protection, CAL FIRE, to use specified criteria in determining areas that are at high risk from wildfires and may benefit from undergrounding transmission lines as an alternative or option. We have accepted some amendments to our proposal, and they're on page 5 of your staff report. The staff briefing provides the fire areas that this bill is seeking to implement. We are concerned that they're only looking just at wind. We want to look at population and other factors. But there have been, in Laguna Beach, we call it the Laguna Canyon Road, 133 when you visit my district. We've had 46 collisions with overhead power poles since 2007. So we've had some interesting concerns. Preventing fires is a public safety concern and an environmental protection concern. Consequently, the CPUC needs to appreciate these concerns when developing future heightened utility fire mitigation standards for at-risk communities throughout the state. This is a good common sense directive, and I would appreciate your support. And I have a witness that will speak and support Laguna Beach Councilmember Bob Whalen.
Thank you, Senator Morlock. Senators, good morning. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I would speak very strongly in favor of support for SB 1463, which we believe in the city of Laguna Beach is an important public safety measure. As the senator said, Laguna Beach is a small community in Southern California of only about 23,000 people, but we have about 6 million visitors a year who come to the community, and the topography is such that its ingress and egress is limited to State Highway Route 133, which is Laguna Canyon Road, and PCH, Pacific Coast Highway. The Laguna Canyon Road is a windy road. It's lined with 181 utility poles over less than a 2-mile stretch. It's been shut down 23 times since 2007 due to, in some cases, after fallen power lines have come down and blocked access points in and out, sometimes for days at a time. These 181 utility poles are a clear public safety risk for our community. We, as the senator said, we have a history of severe fires, and there's a direct link between certain of these fires and the 181 utility poles that snake through Laguna Canyon. Since 2007, we've had 4 utility line sparked fires in our community, and they've caused varying ranges of damage. By relocating the hazardous utility poles below ground, the threat of fire as well as motor vehicle accidents, which as the senator said, there have been 46 alone in the last 9 years on Laguna Canyon Road, vehicle pole collisions. This will essentially eliminate the risk of fires from downed power lines. We've worked hard as a city to underground about 40% of the city so far. We've recently started another initiative to underground a portion of Laguna Canyon Road, but we can't do it all. It's too large a project. We need your help to ensure that the safety of our community, as well as similar communities across the state, are recognized as high-risk fire zones. I've spoken to the Mayor Pro Tem for the City of Malibu. I know they intend to support this bill. It's our role as elected officials to take all appropriate steps to ensure the safety of our communities, and I don't want to continue to put a Band-Aid on this problem. We're asking for your help now and your leadership to direct the appropriate agencies and the appropriate entities to solve this issue before a major disaster occurs that threatens lives in our community and other communities like us. So I'm asking for your support and appreciate the opportunity to speak, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Mr. Chairman, members, Paul Smith with the Rural Counties Association. We're in strong support of the bill. We believe the bill is going to properly prioritize and look at some important mitigation issues. In much of rural California, we have 2 major problems which this bill addresses: electrical lines and fire-prone landscapes. Those electrical lines, obviously, because so much power is generated in the Central Sea areas and elsewhere, needs to be transmitted into the more urban cores. But complicating this is an enormous tinderbox that's occurring, particularly in the Central Sea areas with so many dead and dying trees. So having CAL FIRE and the PUC prioritize and look at these areas of the state, we think can only benefit those communities to prepare and hopefully mitigate so that we don't see what I think is going to be a very explosive fire season for years to come.
Do we have anybody else in support?
Good morning, Chair and members. Matt Klopfenstein on behalf of the Sacramento Municipal Utility District, SMUD. We do not have an official position on the bill. We are looking at the newest round of amendments and just want to make sure that it fits in with Senator Hill's bill, along with our other local and federal requirements. So, thank you.
Very well. Anybody in opposition of the bill?
Mr. Chairman and members, Carolyn McIntyre on behalf of the California Cable and Telecommunications Association. Before I start my testimony, I should ask whether or not the amendments that were recommended in the analysis were accepted. And if they were, we are no longer opposed. Thank you.
Anyone else? Do we have any questions, comments from the committee?
If I could, Mr. Chair, thank you, make a couple comments.
Sure.
Thank you. You know, this bill, I'm sorry.
Oh, we have.
I'm a tweener.
Okay.
Tamara Raspberry, representing San Diego Gas and Electric, and we just want to thank the senator for bringing this issue to the state legislature. We've been working locally with the city of Laguna Beach on helping them what we consider fire hardening measures to protect the safety and integrity of the facilities that we have in Laguna Beach, and also for the safety of the residents. I think the amendments proposed in the Senate analysis would move the bill in the right direction, and we'll continue to work with the senator if this bill moves forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. You know, this bill really does fill a gap and solve a problem that was really discovered in your subcommittee on safety last November in the hearing that was conducted. You know, we see the electric and communication utilities have had a large hand in really setting the agenda in moving forward, which has taken, unfortunately, about 7 years to try to decide and determine how best to handle the wildfire issue. This bill, you know, adding that one major criteria, the consequences to communities, is really the crucial ingredient to that, and I think it will really add the prioritization of where the resources need to be placed that protect the communities in the best way. So certainly support and thank you for bringing this forward. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Senator Pavley?
Yes, I'll be supporting this bill today, and since you mentioned Malibu, I probably should mention that. The utility pole in question, we have 3 canyon roads in my district that go from north to the 101, essentially down to the Coast Highway. They act as wind tunnels during any firestorm. It's just unbelievable, but in this particular case, it was a combination of factors. Essentially, a motorist hit a utility pole that's way too close to busy Malibu Canyon Road. It started a fire, devastating results. It's not just in Malibu, but all the unincorporated areas and cities in the Santa Monica Mountains. I think this would be tremendously helpful as we look at the placement and siting of power poles, and in all cases possible to underground them. In some places it may be problematic, and I'm not talking about just cost, but just how wide the easement is on these narrow roads and the canyon drops-offs, et cetera. So this is an important public safety thing, and I'll throw out a concept to you. In the unincorporated areas, they pay an SRA fee. Perhaps a portion of the SRA fee, which is fire prevention, could be of assistance in putting together, along with Rural 20 monies, local governments and other interests, into an undergrounding program. Just a thought.
Thank you.
And I'll see you in the next committee.
Thank you.
Do we have a motion to move the bill forward with the amendments suggested in the analysis? We have a motion by Senator Hill. Clerk, please call the roll.
Do pass as amended to Natural Resources and Water. Hueso?
Aye.
Hueso, I. Morel?
Aye.
Morel, I. Canela?
Aye.
Canela, I. Gaines? Hertzberg?
Aye.
Hertzberg, I. Hill?
Aye.
Hill, I. Lara? Leva? Aye. Leva, I. McGuire? Pavley? Aye. Pavley, I. Wolf? Laura, I. So no, it's okay.
We're absent presenters. We would go now to presenters that are on the committee. I'm going to thank you. Your bill, we'll hold it open for absent members. It looks like it's getting out. I'm going to go ahead and present my bill today, SB 1035, if we can have